So this is Cathy. She is interview number 11, I believe. And she is another one that's sharing her story of having a change in her career. Leads to her focusing on something else, and then leads to her thinking, hey, it'd be really great to have a hobby where I can learn to draw, I can learn to express myself visually. I'm going to upskill myself. I'm going to challenge myself. And that's what draws her into this course. So take a look through, chalk through when you're listening to this, the four forces. Make sure you're listening out for the pushes and the pulls, and then think about which of these stories is this most like. Which of these is like one that I've heard before.
I'm not sure what Yanis has shared about this, but effectively this is just some very, very early stage research that we're trying to do, and the most important thing that we're trying to listen for at the moment is the language that people use. And it's the language that you might use to describe realizing that you had a problem or an opportunity you wanted to solve, how you went about shopping for, finding courses or whatever, and then ultimately ended up on his course. Okay. And then if you've used it, how you would describe it to other people. So the good news here is it's your story in your own words, so you can't get anything wrong. There's no trick questions, nothing like that. The bad news is where it is about language, I'll apologize up front because I'll probably interrupt, and it's not because I want to be rude. It's just you might say something, and I've just got to make sure I understand exactly what you mean.
I'm good with that. Makes sense. I appreciate it.
No, I just, I still don't like doing it, but sometimes it's important to sort of bracket things. Try and do that. Yeah, this isn't working. Let's just fire up a brand new one. And so basically, you kind of think about this as imagine that we're shooting like a Netflix documentary series of Yanis's customers, and this is your episode. So I'm asking a few weird questions, like imagine I'm shooting a scene or whatever, like, and you're in it, like who's in the scene, like how are you doing this, or how do I get an actor to play you? And the idea of this is just to sort of make it a bit simpler and jog your memory a bit. So yeah, there's no real trick questions, and if you can't remember anything, that's absolutely fine. Just say so. No need to sort of make anything up.
Okay.
So sorry, just I've got to redraw my little template here. So Cathy, maybe to sort of kick things off, could you just give me a bit of an introduction to who are you, like what's going on in your life around the time that you've joined Yanis's course? Just anything that you think might be relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm retired now after 40 years in education. I've been a teacher and a school leader, superintendent. And in the last 2 years, I've started moving more into leadership coaching, not just in education, but across other industries. And I finally committed a year ago to a dream I've had since I was a kid that I was going to write a book.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I'm close to having that published here in the next couple months. It's on psychological safety, which is a big part of the work I do with school leaders and helping to create cultures where people can feel safe to ask for help and say, I don't know. And in the midst of working on the book is how I found his work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it started to fit with some things I was pushing myself in a creative space. I'm far more a better writer than I am a creative art. So when I saw his work, it intrigued me because of its simplicity, but also to how do you get your ideas across to people? So that's what attracted me. And then as I started to see more of, he was on LinkedIn and Substack, I think at that time is where I was seeing him the most. And then I looked up his website and saw he had the course, and I was like, you know what? I'm trying to stretch myself. This looks like something that would really stretch me. And the way he was showing his ideas was something that kind of pulled me in.
That's awesome. Sorry, let me just capture that. So this is great ideas, and that pulled you in, you said. So I know we're recording it. I do try to just write sort of basic stuff at the same time. It helps my brain. So, okay, Cathy, so 40 odd years you've been working in the education space. sounds, and now you've moved into leadership coaching across industry.
Correct.
How long have you been doing that for?
Almost 2 years now.
Okay. And so you've been doing that for 2 years. Is this like a business, or is this just you doing something you enjoy doing?
It's somebody else's business, actually, that does the leadership workshops and coaching. And when I retired, they said, "Are you really retired?" And they invited me in. So the beauty is I contract. So I work when I want to work, and have that freedom and autonomy, but still get to do so much of what I was doing in education, just without all the other stuff.
Okay, that's awesome. And so is this related to writing the book, or is the book something separate?
The book is something separate. However, my intention was, as I started to take his course, I wanted to try to think, how could I start putting that into some of my chapters? And then some things just kind of came up life-wise, so I had to set it aside for a while. And then the book got moving quicker than I thought towards publishing. So it's something I still want to be doing something more with, because I envision more writing coming from me. But I wasn't able to capture it enough for this book, and that was because of my skill level.
Okay, but the book itself, is that related to are you using the book to try and promote your leadership training, or are you just, I really want to? Okay, so this is
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's great. Thank you. And so you said you sort of found Yanis as you were in the process of writing the book. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so I was following, it was really important for me these last couple of years, as I've, not been in the day-to-day of work, is who are the people I'm following that are out in the world doing some of the work that I'm interested in, right? Like how you keep those kind of connections. And so I first came across him in LinkedIn.
Okay.
And then the more I was following him, I think that's when I said, I think I found him on Substack as well, because I think he was posting there. But then that's when I went to his website.
Okay.
And it was really just me looking for people in technology world that were showing ideas in a way that I like to write about ideas. And I was just surprised when I first found him, because I hadn't seen anything like that before.
Okay. And so I think you were surprised by this. You said, he was showing his ideas and this pulled you in. Like, can you, imagine this is my Netflix moment. I'm filming you. You're sat on your laptop. You're looking at Substack or whatever it is. How does an idea pull me in? Like, what are we shooting in this scene?
Yeah, no, perfect. Great question. I think one was the simplicity of his visuals, and the ability, like, even in looking at the visual, it could mean a little something to different people, because I would even look at people's comments, right? And one person might interpret it in one particular path, where I maybe saw it in a different path. And what I loved about it, these will be my words, is part of sharing ideas is it meets people where they are, right? And so what's the meaning that somebody makes about it? I think that's what I loved about his drawings when I saw them, because there was this level of, it's a simple idea. There's a space here that you can pick up on what his intention was. However, still, as the reader on the other side, I'm bringing my own experience to it. And that's what I'm trying to do as a writer too.
Okay. And maybe why is that so important? So you've seen this, you've looked at his idea, like, wow, that's so simple. And yet, even though it's so simple, it sounds like the people in the comments have all interpreted it in different ways.
Yes.
And like, I'm trying to work out, like, why is that good?
Yeah.
why do we want them to all align and say, yes, this means exactly this?
Yeah, no, it's good question. I think for me, I would say, as I was seeing his work get post, I'm walking through life trying to make sense of things that I see. And so I'm also looking at what's the sense making other people are making. And that's how your perspectives grow.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you right, then you're wandering through like the rest of us, trying to make sense of the world that we live in. And this is about seeing somebody see a visual thing, different interpretations, and it's not the idea or the visual, it's the fact that this opens a chapter for you to see how other people see the world. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And that's important. Why?
Well, and that goes back to me and my work, right? I have grown up in education and I'm focused on growing leaders. I think it's important that we have our perspectives challenged. And sometimes it's that idea of, I never thought of it that way. I think that just makes our life richer. It makes our connections better.
Yeah.
And the ability to consider, it doesn't always have to be the way I see it. I can see it the way someone else does too.
Okay. This is cool. Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for that. Right. Now this is where I'm going to have to sort of randomly sketch my timeline templates. I'm trying to keep a track of something here. So if I shoot all the way down, sorry, it'll take me
You're fine.
longer. Let's do this. When was it, Cathy, that you decided to join Yanis's course? Can you remember?
I want to say it was the early part of this year. So
What was the weather like?
yeah, like January. It
Okay.
was winter here. So sometime maybe January, early February.
Okay, that's cool. It doesn't have to be exact, but so sometime what we like 8-9 months ago now.
Yes.
What did you buy from him? If somebody else wandered into the room and said, "What have you just bought?" How would you describe it to somebody else?
Yeah. So what I bought is a how-to show your ideas in a visual way without words.
Okay. And what's included in this that you've purchased?
Yeah. So first of all, what I really like, I do like his videos. I love seeing kind of what he does a good job of, in my opinion, is showing his thinking process. So
Okay.
you get to see how the brainstorming happens, right? And how he kind of approaches it to kind of get that freedom. So I really like that in the videos. He shows you, not only is he talking, but he shows you in the video sketches and things, right? As he's starting to figure it out. I loved his checklist. He had a couple different checklists of his brainstorming process and also how to improve kind of your aesthetics of it, like when you're thinking about how to get to that, which was good for me because remember, I'm not the visual art person, I'm the writer. So it's pushing me out of a comfort zone with some art skills that I don't have.
Okay, thank you. So I'll just capture that. If I'm hearing you right, so your experience with it, you like the videos, so they're showing the thinking process, the sketches, as he's kind of framing them up, the checklist for the process itself. Did you know that's what you were buying, or did you only discover that after you joined and used it?
I think I discovered it more after I used it. That's a really good question because I can't say I remember, but I think there was more I learned after I got into it than what I thought I was buying in advance.
Okay. And maybe a different way of framing that. I've discovered that this is what the course really is. Am I happy about it? Or am I like, oh, damn it, that's not what I wanted?
Oh, no, I'm really happy about it.
Okay, cool. That's cool. And like roughly, I don't know if you remember, how much did this cost and what did you get for your money?
I'm thinking it was like $40 or $50, if that sounds about right.
It's what you remember is more
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, I can't say I know exactly, but for some reason I'm thinking $40 or $50.
Okay. Is that a lot of money to spend on something like this?
No, I didn't think so. and what I appreciated about it though was because it would be on demand. So it was always going to be there for me.
Okay.
Which was far more attractive than so many that are out there where you have to like be online with someone. And I know he's offered some other like live meetings at times. But it was more the ability to have on demand with the videos and the tools that I found like definitely worth it.
Why is that important? So you're an educator yourself. I presume a lot of your education was done live. Now you want it on demand. Like, what's better about on demand than in person or live?
Good question. I would say because of where I am in life, right? It's the juggling a different job, freedom and autonomy, able to figure out where it was going to fit in terms of I'm ready for this brain space where I could really commit to, okay, because I would have time in my calendar and I would set it aside, which is very different than probably being in person. Plus, I think for me, this one is stretching me. So to probably be in a group with people who probably have far more skill than me, I'm not so sure that would have worked for me.
Okay. So if I'm trying to paraphrase this, sorry, it's more skill. You're juggling your job. I think you said earlier on. Now I got the choice whether I want to do this. I'm a contractor now. So doesn't that mean you've got more freedom to then say I'm not going to do that? I can go to a live class.
However, I was writing a book at this time too, and so that was really where a big part of my time commitment was.
Okay, so basically, if I'm hearing you right, even though I've moved out of a full-time job, I don't have to report to anybody anymore. I'm doing my work when I want, but I've piled a bunch of stuff onto my schedule, and so it's still as busy as ever.
Yeah. And the freedom, right? So for me, like it's the freedom of when am I writing? When am I doing my coaching? And I live in Colorado. When am I going hiking?
Okay. Right. Okay. So this is fitting it around your life.
Yes.
Okay. That's cool. You mentioned, I think, that you set aside time for this. Can you tell me about that? Like when did you use it?
Yeah. So when I first signed up and got the information, I pretty much would look at my calendar for each week and knowing what were the other things, right? My priorities in terms of what was my coaching schedule, what was my writing the book schedule. And then I tried to make sure I was spending at least 2 hours initially the first month to dig into the videos, start taking some notes, try to understand, because I'm stretching my brain in a different way. So early on, I committed 2 hours a week because I knew I needed to do that in order to be stretched. Okay.
Oh, that's a week. That's cool. You've said this a couple of times now. You're stretching your brain. Now, what does that mean? Like, how do I picture you? This sounds painful. So
no, in a good way. So I'm a writer. With language, I think I'm really good with language, right? I can have spoken word. I can be in meetings with people, make presentations. What I appreciated about his course is it's pushing me to take what I would typically speak and I have to come up with a visual. And so maybe part of it for me was I'm in this different stage of life, and that's not a skill I've ever really practiced, in terms of drawing, painting, anything like that. So I was also looking for that creative. I had set a goal for this year to take creative risk.
Okay. What's creative risk?
Just exactly it. Do some things that are different for me. So in this case, it was taking the course that was going to, how could I do something, again, the simplicity of his visuals when he's making them. I'm like, well, I can do that. That's not creating this big painting, right? But more importantly, how do I not use written word to express what I want to do?
Okay.
That's challenging and I think also fun.
Okay. Thank you. That's great. Challenge, fun. So is this like a hobby you're taking up, or are you doing it for work?
No, more of a hobby, but something that I think as I continue, like I said, I hope I have another book in me, and I'm starting to do more blogs as part of my leadership work. What I envision is this will become something that can become part of that like blog space.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Thanks. So, Cathy, if I take this back to sort of January, February this year, we've joined up to Yanis's course, so I can learn how to show my ideas in a visual way without words. If I take it back, can you remember when you had the first thought in your head that you needed this skill, or whatever it was? Like, at what point does a thought bubble up and you go from I'm perfectly happy writing this book, or I'm happy doing whatever I'm doing, to poof, I've got to change and I need a new skill?
I'm thinking back to that time in January. I had excitement for the book. I was enjoying the writing, and still there was something that was capturing when I'd see his LinkedIn post. I kept getting drawn into. And so then I started seeing other people who I think have been learning with him, and they've been posting stuff, right? And so I started collecting images, because he even said in one of his videos, right? Start to kind of collect your own images that kind of inspire you to see kind of where you land.
Okay.
And so I think for me, it was, hey, I'm in this exciting, like, creative space with the book. I know I could probably use this in my work, but this is so outside of right field for me. But it kind of was exciting.
Okay, no, this is cool. So if I'm hearing you right, you're writing the book now. I didn't say this up front, but you can treat me like a complete idiot. I've never written a book in my life, so I have no idea whatsoever about the process. Are we at like the start of writing the book? Are we kind of buried in ideas and notes? Are we polishing it up? Where
Yeah,
are we?
by the time I found this course, I was already 10, 11 months into the book being written. Okay. And I was probably close to the last, like I had the last quarter of the book to finish.
Okay. So this will be my a very, very stupid question, so apologies up front. I'm 10 or 11 months into writing a book. It sounds like I've taken this on, even though I'm, I want to go hiking. I've got my coaching business that I'm dealing with. It's more work for me. Why on earth do I want to learn a new skill that stretches myself when I'm kind of in the final quarter chasing the finish line?
Yeah, and I think to answer that question, what I've learned about myself more as I've done leadership coaching, a big part of what I do in coaching is challenge people's thinking. Like, can you think about this in a different way? Okay. And I'm going to go back to the visuals have challenged me to think in a different way. And so I think it was one of those things that's like, how could I, because I haven't figured it out yet, how can I use this as part of my business? But it intrigues me. And it is about, if you can't change anything until you change your thinking.
Okay. So yeah, this is really good. So if I'm trying to sort of deal with this, I'm knee deep in writing. Like, if I'm writing a book, is this taking up all day? Is this certain times of day? Is it like easier? Is it stressful?
Yeah, for me, by the time I started doing this, it was maybe 4 days a week. And depending on the day, it would be anywhere from 1 to 3 hours.
Okay. And obviously, for somebody who's in a all-day paid profession, 1 to 3 hours isn't a lot, but for somebody who's retired, Is this a big investment in time, or is this like, I'm going to go off and write the book, it's fun?
It was fun.
Okay. So this is just fun. So is it competing with hiking then?
Yeah, it has its place.
This is cool. Now you mentioned you sort of, so you why are you on LinkedIn in the first place? If I can ask you, like, if you're busy writing a book, like, what am I doing?
Yeah. So part of when I got out of retiring from the building, right? I'd been 40 years in education. I'm reporting to schools all the time, right? I'm working with different building leaders. I'm a big person for community and connection. And so one way for me to continue that was through LinkedIn. So I've joined a couple other groups that periodically will do like a webinar, and you jump in with like-minded people, right? To learn, share problems, ask questions, that kind of thing. So LinkedIn became a place for me to still kind of keep that connection and community. And it's been great because I've met people from across the world that I didn't know when I was in education.
Okay, that's cool. So basically, I've left. So I'm not turning up into the building every day. I don't have that community of other working people. So now I can go online and I can get the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now you sort of mentioned that you've sort of seen Yanis's visuals. They challenge your thinking. You're seeing how other people respond to it, and it seems like you're seeing it's this. There's lots of different perspectives. What is it about the visual? Like, why do I want to create a visual to do that? Why don't I just want to sort of follow Yanis and sort of spectate on the bleachers or whatever?
Oh, that's a great question. And that's where I think I've gotten stuck myself, because now I have to get to you're working on paper to like using the iPad in the whole, I think he uses Figma, and I know nothing about that. So this gets to where Cathy's learning curve is like, okay, I don't even know Figma. And he talks about it, and I see some of the people on LinkedIn, them talking about it, and I'm like, I still don't know how to use that. So that's where I got stuck.
Okay.
Is getting to that next level. And because my book now got to the point where I was closer to publishing, I had to set that aside. I was like, this visual part, I've got to set aside for right now. Because I was close to getting it to an editor for publish. So it's on my track now. Like, okay, now you need to immerse yourself into this tool and figure the heck out of it.
Okay. So if I heard you right, when you initially spotted this, the thought was to learn it and put it into this current book. Okay. But now I'm close to publishing. I'm going to put the book out without it. Like, what? Why not? Just...
Because it was a timing thing, and so
because the publishing sets a schedule for you.
Yeah, and I've got an opportunity. That happened sooner than I thought it would. And so I had an opportunity to do that. And then I just had to set aside, I got blocked. It was my own block that got in the way. I don't know how to use this Figma. And so I got to set that aside for now, but I will pick it up later.
Okay, cool. Had you written or drawn any visuals for the book, or did you not?
The book, none of my visuals are in there. What is in there were things I just used, like very simple, like word art kind of things.
Okay, cool. So back in, it sounds like the sort of end of last year, start of this year, we've been wading in this. We've got about a quarter of the book left. Suddenly I see this visual idea. It sounds like it challenges your own way of thinking, and then you're seeing how others respond to it. And it's like there's some sort of tension there that pulls you in. Like, how can I use these visuals maybe to change other people's ideas? Mm-hmm. Why is that important for your book?
Because my book is about psychological safety and people being able to be in workspaces where, again, I can think different. I can ask for help. I can say I don't know. I can debate. I can admit I made a mistake. And so it all kind of, for me, that kind of fits into a bucket.
Okay. And the bucket needs visuals. Why?
Because visuals, I think, are far more captivating than word itself, right? When you think about, shoot, even just walking down the street, you see street art, it makes you pause and go, So I think the opportunity with visuals is to cause people to stop and then go, whoa, wait a minute. And then I get to that, I never thought of it that way moment.
Okay. So, and that one's a good one. So it's kind of the visuals have caused me to stop and think I never thought of it that way. I want the ability to cause other people to stop, and
I do. I want to do that same thing, because that's that whole idea of changing. You can't change anything until you change your thinking.
Okay. Now you mentioned that you'd seen Yanis on LinkedIn, then you followed him over to Substack. I guess how long does it take between you first seeing one of his visuals and thinking this is cool to thinking I want the ability to do it, and then ultimately finding a course? Like, how do those dominoes hit one another?
Good question. I want to say it was probably only a matter of like 3 or 4 weeks. And I think primarily, I mean, I'm a mindset, even though I'm retired, I like to learn. So, like I'm always looking for things that are like, okay, I want to be challenged. So in that space, just given where I was in the book, things I was thinking about, it just like came together at the right time.
Okay.
And I think I probably made the decision within 3 or 4 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay. Did you go off shopping for courses on this, or did you only ever buy Yanis's course?
Only.
And how did you find out about Yanis's course? How did you move from, oh, look, this is a really nice visual, to this person teaches how to draw these things?
Because as I started seeing more of his work, I was like, I wonder if he has a website. And so I went to his website and I saw a little more, and I was reading more about his approach and how he got to what he was doing. And I was like, And then I saw the course. I was like, oh, really? Somebody might be able to teach me how to do this. And again, the price was reasonable given that I would be on demand on my own. I was like, I think I could have fun with this.
Okay. This is really, really great. Thanks. I love it. Like I said, the language is the most important thing in this. Let me play that back, just make sure I followed along. I see his visuals. I then so I'm on LinkedIn. I'm like, wow, that's changing my thinking, and I can see that people in the comments, they're interpreting it in different ways, but at least they're thinking about it, I suppose. Then I follow him on Substack, and I'm liking this, and I like it so much that I go to his website to see more of it. Okay. And then I stumble across the course.
Correct.
So I'm not looking for a course. I'm looking for more visuals.
Correct.
Okay. And then I'm like, wow, somebody might be able to teach me how to do this.
Correct.
Do I pull out my credit card and sign up straight away, or do I go off and think about it?
I think I waited a couple days.
Okay.
Because I wanted to make sure, am I committed to it?
Oh, okay. What does that mean?
Well, if I'm going to pay the money for it, like, am I going to commit and spend the time on it? So like I had to make that decision, because remember, I'm coming from a space where this visual drawing is not Cathy's forte. So I had to really think, like, this one's going to, again, stretch me. Am I going to do it? And ultimately I was like, yeah, I want to learn how to do it.
Okay, cool. Now you say you want to learn how to do it. So now imagine after 2 days, Cathy's come back armed, locked and loaded with the credit card. You signing up for the course. At that point in time, what were you hoping for?
What I was hoping for is that one could learn about his creative process, which, as I got onto his website, and he had a little bit more about him, right, and how he came to it. So one, I wanted to learn somebody else's creative process. Two, again, knowing that this is not my forte, it was my takeaway in signing up for the course. I'm going to be able to see some kind of step by step about how to do that. And then the third thing was it was going to push me, and I was looking to be pushed, even though I had all that other stuff going on.
Yeah. Okay. So even though you had all that stuff going on, you wanted to be pushed. Like why?
I think it's just where I was in the stage of my life right now. I wanted to learn, right? I wasn't in the day-to-day of a typical work, but this fits with a lot of what I'm trying to do with people, and it was going to stretch me to learn something.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you right, I'm in this space in my life. You know, I'm out of a career. I'm now in this other career. I'm kind of trying to build a new career in many ways with the book. In this, I'm teaching other people how to change. So I'm going to practice what I preach and change myself.
You got it. You nailed it.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it.
Cool. Now, Cathy, obviously, at that time, so you've got this hope that you're going to learn this creative process. It's not your forte. You can learn it step by step. But it's taken you a few days to sign up. What were you worried about? Or were you worried about anything?
It was more about me knowing that this was going to be a skill that's new for me. Am I going to put the time in, given where I was with the book? And that's where I had to settle with myself and be like, is that for real? And it was, because I've really enjoyed his courses.
And you said, I think in when you actually used this, you kind of pulled yourself out and you did a couple of hours a week.
Yes.
That's competing with you writing the book, or that's competing with you hiking?
Yeah, it was all three. I just had to partition them all out.
Right. But I guess beforehand you had those 2 hours of free time.
Yeah.
What did this take time from?
It really didn't take time from. It was just me adjusting my schedule to make sure the things I wanted to do, I got to do all three, and I did.
Okay. How long did you keep sort of plugging away at it for? You 2 hours a day?
It's probably, I'm looking at my notes here on his lessons. It was probably a good 2 months initially, 1 or twice a week, maybe on some of those weeks, but it was probably a good 2 months. And then when I got to the part about having to learn how to use Figma, that one I hit a wall. And then that's just where this miraculous part came, where the book editor thing came. And I was like, okay, I gotta set this Figma aside. I'm not ready for that because I want to get this book prepared.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's cool. Thank you. At the time that you bought this back in January, I know Yanis has got a couple of packages on his site. I don't know if you did. So it sounds like you've signed up for the do-it-yourself. I can do it in my own free time one. Did he offer the
Yeah, there was. Now that you say that, I do recall there were 2 different options.
Okay. Why didn't you choose the other one?
I think knowing where I was in my life with the book, and the fact that I wanted to probably play a little bit with it and see how I was going to do. It was probably part of my own imposter, Neil.
Okay. What's the imposter?
Can you really do this, Cathy?
Okay.
Can you show your ideas visually?
Okay. So if I'm this is an interesting one because I'm trying to play you in my Netflix documentary. I'm sat there. I'm looking at these 2 choices. I'm like, hey, I want to play a little bit, but I feel like an imposter. Can I really do this? If I'm feeling like that, why don't I go and pay somebody to work with me to help me do it? Like, why go with the do it myself? If I'm a bit worried about
in that one, I don't have an answer. That's a good question. It might have just been where I was at the time with the book that I was like, I don't know if I can commit to that at that level. That's the only thing I can think, because that was several months ago.
Yeah.
Because I had the book done by March. So January, February for me, I was plugging.
Okay. plugging is what, like,
just working really hard to like keep that book momentum. Like I didn't want to lose momentum because I was writing at least 4 days a week at minimum. So I wanted to make sure that I was.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you right, it's like, I've seen this. I don't really know why I didn't go with it, but I'm plugging in. I'm trying 4 days on the book. It sounds then like doing a live piece or having his help is a distraction from learning rather than an assistance to learning. Is that
Maybe, yeah, I think at that time for me, yes.
cool?
Which is why you asked, like, even the whole live thing. I think I wanted the freedom to be able to just plug it in.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Let me just have a look up and down here. So you've been really super here. I think so if I'm just trying to play this back, see if I make sure I'm following along. So big change in career shift a few years back, trying to build a new career. I'm putting all this effort into this book, which is going to help build that coaching career. And then I see somebody who can post a clean, simple visual idea that causes me to stop and think first. And then when I see in the comments, it's caused others to stop and think, and they've got this different perspective. That's kind of resonated with me. And I want to pull that in to put into my work in the future. At the time, did it matter if it went in the book? Obviously now you're not going to get it in this book. Like, was it a sort of, I must put it in when you bought it, or was it a, hey, I'll learn this and maybe it will go in?
It was a maybe.
Okay.
I think I was more hopeful that it would. So it was probably more of a maybe, but it was an optimistic maybe at the time.
Okay, that's cool. And so then I sort of, I'm sort of looking at these ideas. I'm excited by them. I'm pulled in by, I go and have a look at Yanis's website just to see more of these ideas. And then I see a course, and that then triggers my own brain to say, hey, I never thought of it that way. Like, somebody might be able to teach me how to. So you're trying to learn how to change other people's minds, or to not change minds, but is it just to
change their thinking?
Change their thinking.
Change their thinking. And that's a big part of my leadership coaching, is help people change their thinking. Okay.
Then I don't buy it straight away because I'm, am I committed to this? Have I got the time to do it? I feel like I'm a bit of an imposter, but I want to play around with it. And then I want this so I can learn about his creative process. Why is that important? Like, what is it about the creative process that I must know?
Yeah, so I enjoy, one of the things I've enjoyed, and I have other like different writers and stuff that I've studied as well. I love to hear how people, and I was like this as a school leader when I was a teacher. I was studying other teachers because I wanted to understand what was behind their practice, right? So I think it's that idea of, if I can understand his process in this is one other example of how do you get to new ideas, right? How do you come up with new solutions? How do you change the world? Like, it really is that kind of a space. And so hearing how somebody else is doing something, can kind of open me up to go, oh, wow, yeah. And again, I never thought of it that way. I know I keep saying that, but it's true.
So if I'm trying to make sure I capture your story correctly, I see a visual. It causes me to, like, it stopped me in my tracks, and I start thinking differently. I want to know how to do that to other people, because this is important to me, to get people to challenge the way they're thinking. And in order for me to do that, I've got to understand the process somebody else goes through to reach this space. So
yes,
is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And this is not your forte, obviously. You've said you're more verbal than visual.
Correct.
Why learn it in the first place then? Like, why not just stop and change the way you're writing things to
Well, and I would say part of it has changed the way I write some things. So go back to understanding his creative process and kind of how to go about that, right? And how ideas surface. I think it did change some of the things I write. But also I think for me, as I think about building the business, how else can I reach people? Does it always have to be through written word or through a presentation? How powerful would it be for me to have a visual if I get to have a presentation with people and put it up and go, okay, let's talk? I just think that just adds another dynamic to interacting with people.
Is this like in a sales perspective or in a delivery perspective?
More in a delivery, because I get to do some workshops at times with teams.
Okay. So
and ultimately, I'd like it to get to that. I'm not there yet.
Yeah. So it's kind of in a presentation itself, help me kind of slap something on the board so I can get everybody to pay attention.
To like engage, maybe spark some conversation, right? That kind of thing. So I see that coming in the future, but like I said, not there yet.
Yeah. Okay. This is great. Thank you. Is this something have you ever used any of the community aspect in the course or not?
Not enough. I see it on there, and every once in a while I jump and I see. That's the one thing I would have liked to have done more. And that's where I think the timing of what happened with the book and the editor, it just caught, like I wasn't straddling that as well as I did those first 2 months.
Okay.
So that is something that I would want to do more, because as I mentioned earlier, the community aspect is what I'm also looking for in other groups I'm part of.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever come up with a visual yourself, or did you just listen in and take notes on the course?
Listen in and took notes. I had something super raw at one point. I don't even know where it is anymore. And it's funny because I was just talking to somebody about 2 weeks ago, because I just had turned the book into the editor, and I said, great, I can take a deep breath. And I said, I can pull out my notes. And now because I wanted to start to like sketch more. And then this email came from him like a week ago. And I was like, okay, the universe is speaking. It's time to get back to it, Cathy.
Right, okay. No, that's awesome. Cool. Thanks for that. Now, you mentioned it earlier on, I think, that this was fun and a bit like a hobby or something like this. Where does it fit? Like, how does this fit with your other hobbies? Like, what is this something you actively go and pick up hobbies like this, or is it just random that you've
think
done?
it's it speaks to the learner part of me, because I do like to learn. So whether it's books I'm picking up, podcast, or somebody's mini course on something, it speaks to being a learner and the opportunity to learn from others, with others.
Okay, so this isn't uncommon for Cathy. It's like whether it's a book or a podcast or something else, if I see an opportunity to learn and it feels like it fits in, I'm going to pull that in. And
yes.
Okay, that's awesome. Cathy, this has been wonderful. I have asked probably some of the dumbest questions you've been asked in your life. You seem like a very smart lady. What have I missed?
I don't think you missed anything, and I think the questions were great. I just love Yanis's approach of how he put the course together. And I think the only thing I would ask is for like someone like me who doesn't have the tech skill.
Yeah.
Is there like, hey, maybe you don't know this. Like I said, Figma's the one, right? Where do I go to understand how to use the tool? That would be the only thing. And that's where I got stuck. I just didn't have the bandwidth to go figure it out.
Yeah. So you talked about the creative process earlier on. And now we're talking about the tools.
The tools.
Were you expecting to learn how to use the tools, or were you just expecting to learn how to create I
think I was just expecting to learn the process of how to do it. I think the tool surprised me, to be honest. But I was actually excited when I saw it was in there. It's just because that's not my forte. And I know even in following the community, some people that like they're in the tech tools all the time, so they know what those are. So that's like my next big thing. But that would be like if he was going to do anything to add to it, having something for the person who's And I don't know, maybe I'm an anomaly in the group.
Yeah.
But that would
Okay.
be helpful.
You just and this is I'm not tech savvy, or I am tech savvy and I
Yes.
just don't know the tool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cathy, thank you so much. That's really awesome. I appreciate you sharing your story, and it's been wonderful talking and learning about you. I hope your book is a great success.
Well, thank you.
And yeah, I look forward to seeing whatever you produce in Yanis's course in the future. I'll keep an eye on
Thank you, and thank him for putting it out there and for the opportunity. You know, I love, again, I work with leaders. If people will put themselves out there and get feedback and hear stories and hear what's going well and what people wish for, that just makes the world better. And so when I saw his email come, I thought, this guy's doing it right.
Yeah, awesome. And on that, obviously recording this here, what I'm trying to do is to use this to help Yanis obviously grow his course and revenues and stuff like that. But we're doing this kind of live case study of this technique that I'm using to interview you and to analyze it. Are you okay if we publish this as part of that and just sort of share this with others?
Yeah, like however if it works for him and it helps him in terms of getting his message across. Yeah, just let me know if you use me so I can see it.
I certainly will. I've got your email, so I'll put it up there, and then you can come back to me and say, you've completely misunderstood this story. How dare you misrepresenting this badly?
No, I think it's awesome. And, you know, and I just love what's so great about technology is it has opened our world and gotten us access to people that we would never typically get to interact with. That's what's powerful about it.
We're halfway across the world from one another, and we're having a great conversation now.
Absolutely.
So that's super. Thank you. On the Figma thing, I stumbled into it and figured it out, but just by playing around and doing it, you can't break it. So,
okay.
So don't worry too much. I don't know what tools you're using, but I think I left a little post in Yanis's course about how. So this is this remarkable paper tablet. It's like just like an electronic sketch pad, I guess. And then you kind of export this out and dump it in. And then Figma lets you kind of choose the colors and add some text and stuff like that. So it's yeah, I never used it myself. It wasn't something I'm familiar with. It was quite daunting. It's got loads of controls and
yeah, there was a lot on there. I know I pulled it up once and then I was like, yeah, this was going to take more bandwidth.
Yeah.
Because I have it on an iPad.
Oh, okay.
And then I saw he had directions in there and I was like, yeah, I just needed more time for that. So that's good to know. Just get in there and start playing with it.
Yeah, you're not going to break anything. I think the first ones I was pushing out were massive. So I don't know, there's some settings or whatever. I'm reducing these file types, trying to put it in, and it's like, no, you can't load something that big.
Okay.
To scribble. But then, you know, you kind of dig in and you know, I'll click this button and then it will come out smaller or whatever. So it was, I thought it was going to be harder than it ended up being. And I think once you've got enough time to think it through, hopefully you'll.
Well, you're giving me hope. I will take that.
Cool. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your story, and yeah, lovely to talk to you. And yeah, have a great evening. And good luck with
thank you, and good luck to you guys with the project.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, bye.
Okay, Yanis, there's another one there. We've got somebody that there are people out there in the world. I think I'm probably one of them as well. Like lifelong learners. You know, everybody. I want to keep challenge myself. I want to keep pushing myself. If I see something else, I want the ability to do that. So some of this is about the communication capability, but I think she's a lot like Aditi and others that are in that particular camp there, where it's kind of I'm good at my verbal and written communication. I have a project that kind of she's halfway between a couple of groups. I'll debrief this and see if my mind changes once I've done the 4 courses. But it's, you know, I've got this break in my career, so maybe she's a bit more like some of the others that we've interviewed. So there's a career break. I'm planning something for the future. I'm not necessarily planning to use it now. I'm challenging myself. I don't know that I can use this, so I'm not going to pay for the top tier. I'm kind of taking my first steps in this new space, and so, you know, help me to learn a new skill. Help me to learn your process and the thinking behind it. So this is it's almost like people aren't trying to think this one through. They want to learn how to create the visuals, but they're not artists that don't see themselves. It's less about the piece there, and obviously he's got stuck on the Figma side of it. It's more about how do I come up with the idea in the first place. So I think there's a big group of people that we've interviewed now where it's more about the idea than the execution. The execution's almost like when they see that yours are a bit scrappy or whatever, and the visuals don't matter. That seems to be a trigger that will pull them over the edge and into doing this. So I thought that was a really useful one. I'll debrief this later today and share the actual, the 4 forces, because that might help me frame it and see which cluster. I think she might straddle them. So you can kind of think of the jobs to be done. We're going to end up with 3, 4, or 5 different groups, and it'd be like people who are on a quest. And so when this happens, we go off and we arm up, and some of us are heading off in this direction, and some are heading off in that direction. Sometimes you find people who are kind of a little bit in the middle, and she might land a bit closer to one group than another. So she's not smack in the middle of the stories that we've heard, but the themes for me are still coming through of, help me create something that resonates with somebody else's brain. And this is a hobby, this is fun. So I'm not necessarily I'm taking up a hobby that I can use to help me with my business. I'm not taking up a thing that helps with my business that could be a hobby, if that makes sense. It's kind of the order of how they're framing this up. I'm going to take something up, I'm going to learn a new way of doing this. I like learning, I'm going to pull this in. That's more important than actually creating the visuals or doing anything with it. That'll be a side effect of taking this hobby up that I'll end up achieving later, which I could then use to deliver workshops or to put in a new book or to do whatever. So kind of what's the chain of causality here, and what do people want? Anyway, that's the end of that one. I will shut up now. Hopefully it helps, and thanks.
Okay, so there you have it. Actually, immediately afterwards, I think my comment to Yanis was, hey, this is like Aditi, because she's somebody who's really good at written communication, wants to be getting better at visual communication. But I'm not so sure. I think she's much more similar to Nikki and Knife and a few of the others, where actually this is about having a break. It's about having a change in my situation in my life, and I'm having a reset, and I want to move forward in a different direction. That direction includes both work and play, and it includes me learning and challenging myself, and it includes me developing and building a skill that maybe I can use in my work. So Cathy, they're thinking about this, I could add these cool visuals to my book. The minute the book moves forward and starts getting editor interest, that gets thrown out. Yeah, maybe I'll use it in the next one. This isn't about creating visuals for the book. Otherwise, she'd have stopped and hired Yanis or somebody else who wants to visualize these things for her. This is about taking up a hobby, about developing, pushing herself, getting into a new skill, something that would be a bit fun, a bit challenging. And like I said, it seems to be that there's a common theme there. We'll see more clearly when we do the full analysis. But after 11 interviews, I'm starting to feel that there are some people who are closer together and some that are further apart. What are you seeing?